We'll call the August meeting of the Bella Vista City Council to order. First order of business, if you could all stand, we'll have the invocation by Reverend Paul Vole, and if you remain standing, we'll follow with the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, let's pray. Lord God, we thank you for your blessings to the city of Bella Vista, the many, many blessings that we all enjoy. You are the one from whom all blessings flow. We also give you thanks for those who are willing to serve, who dedicate their lives to making this a great and even greater community. And we ask that as this meeting progresses tonight, that you would grant wisdom and understanding, discernment, and cooperation for the decisions that need to be made. And may they be decisions that make this a wonderful community, an even better community, and that bring you glory. And I pray in Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Alderman Morgan. Here. Alderman Snow.
Here.
Alderman Wozniak.
Here.
Alderman Rooney.
Here.
Alderman King.
Here.
Alderman Wilson.
Here.
We have a quorum present.
First item of business on the agenda is the citizen input. We set aside time at the beginning of every meeting to hear from whatever citizen of Bella Vista wants to talk to the council about any subject having to do with the city. So we'll begin with that, and we could ask you please to keep your remarks to approximately 3 minutes. That'll give everybody that wants to talk a chance and get us out of here before midnight. First individual who signed up to talk to us, Jeff Hartley. Yep. Not on the agenda, no. Were you supposed to be?
Yeah, he is. He's
Oh,
in
is
the
he?
citizen right there.
Oh, okay. You're good. You're the first one then. Luckily you. Right up there at the microphone, and like the microphone will not help in this room, but it will help going out over the air.
Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, my name is Jeff Hatley. I'm with Ozark Regional Transit, and I will be brief. Just wanted to come and speak with y'all tonight and every so often to give you a report on what Ozark Regional Transit is doing in your community. We are growing countywide, Benton County and Washington County, especially with our paratransit service, which is the small minivans that are handicap accessible or wheelchair accessible. Year to date, from January to July in 2013, we saw no ridership stemming from Bella Vista. This year we've had 22 riders, and that's pretty much the case all over our territory. We have reached out to communities and trying to let them know that we are there, and there is a service available to help get people to wherever they want to go. And we've also invested in our people to retrain and get more ridership out of our fleet. With that, I know I'm on a limited time. I'll leave that open to questions, comments, concerns.
Anybody have any questions for Jeff concerning Ozark Regional Transit?
Are there any permanent stops scheduled in Bella Vista yet? You know, we know it's going to be at a certain place at 9 o'clock every day. We have that set up yet?
No, so that's a fixed route. All we have in this area right now is the paratransit, which is a curb-to-curb service.
Yep, okay.
It's scheduled it ahead of time.
And that service gets advertised how? How will our folks in Bella Vista know that that's out there?
Well, that's me. I'm the advertising. And so far, what I've done, I've reached out to the Bella Vista courtesy van, which also has a similar service, to see what their limitations were, to see how we can complement what they're already doing. We don't want to step on toes. Certainly don't want to have necessarily redundant services. And found out some information from them back in October when we spoke with them the first time, and then recently spoke with Charles Henning of the courtesy van a couple weeks ago. And I've also reached out to Casey Kleinhines with Senior Living Concepts, which runs several of the senior centers around here, including Village House here in this building. And so In a lengthy discussion with him, he had asked me to provide him some demand response brochures, which is paratransit demand response, basically the same thing. I provided that to him. He's distributing it out to his resident managers, and we're looking to possibly do some presentations at each one of those senior centers and let people know what we've got going on.
Okay, and I'm sure our reporter is paying attention and is going to put something in the local newspaper about that service.
Question?
Sir, Jeff,
Yes.
have you notified the local churches that we have that service available?
I have not. Well, I typically reach out to senior centers simply because they are, they have a office staff that are there all the time. I've not typically reached out to a church staff. I'm more than happy to do that. I just never have done that before.
Okay, we appreciate your time. It's for the council to deal with the folks. Sorry. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions up here?
Yes,
Is there a charge for the service? What is the charge?
Yes, sir. It's typically $2.50 one way, but that is from Bella Vista to anywhere in our territory. So if they've got a dialysis in Fayetteville, it's $2.50 and $2.50 back.
Reasonable enough?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you limited to senior services, or would you do like young people that don't drive that need transportation to college?
Absolutely. The thing is with young people, it's a first come first serve basis, but we do reserve the right if there's an ADA qualifying event. The person needs to get dialysis. Say a student needs to get to NWAC, but at the exact same, and they've scheduled it first, and we've got them scheduled. But an ADA qualifying person needs to get to dialysis at the exact same time. That first person may get bumped. So, and we try to give that first person at least a 24-hour notice so it doesn't unduly complicate things for them.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thank you.
Next name on the list, Dawn Harpel.
Long time no see. My name's Dawn Harpel. I live at 17 Miller Drive. That's down on the very southern end of Bella Vista, for those of you who don't know. I'm here to talk to you about Sunset Drive now. You guys inherited it, I hear, this summer, and pardon me? Anyway, you guys, I had inherited it, and it frequently needs mowing, even though, from what I understand, was probably back in June, I started to call to get it mowed. It took about 4 weeks to get that accomplished. I called once every week for about 3 weeks trying to get it done. You guys had to get a hog brusher or something that could do like sides. Because, I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago, they went and put power lines through there. When they did that, they turned up all the dirt. We now have like trees growing on the very edge of the road. We have literally bushes with stick-type protrusions into the road. When it rains, all the grass that's about this tall lays down into the road, leaving the road extremely thin. I would like to, at least in the near future, get a regular mowing or hog brushing schedule for that road, because it's getting extremely overgrown, and we have a lot of traffic. I know most people don't think that Sunset has a lot of traffic, but since it's been paved last year, everybody takes the shortcut to beat off some of the traffic going that way. So it's gotten quite dangerous as well. But in the long term, I'd like to see something like Chelsea, where there's about 3 feet of grass on the side, so that way there's less chance of a bush coming out and scratching the side of your car or causing us to drive in the middle of the road. I don't like driving in the middle of the road. My son and I almost died a couple months ago on that road. We got missed because a car went around another car on that road and missed me and the other car probably about a foot. It was quite frightening. But anyway, the road just needs some tender, loving care from the city now that you guys have it in your gentle care. So I just ask for a little more maintenance, please. Thank you.
Next item or next individual, Bob Schmidt, if I'm reading that correctly.
Yes, Bob Schmidt.
Okay.
My name is Bob Schmidt. I live in Bella Vista. And I'd like to read this. I wrote some notes down. I'd like to read this to you. In the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette newspaper article on March 14th, 2007, Brandy Pace, 26, was killed in a two-vehicle accident on 540. Witnesses said the SUV made a lane change, and Pace, who was northbound, tried to avoid the SUV, lost control of her car, crossed the median into the southbound lanes, and was struck head-on by a 2006 Mack truck. On April 6, 2007, I sent an email to Robert Smith, a Democrat Gazette columnist. His column called The Gridlock Guru published my email. In my correspondence, I mentioned that the state of Missouri had cable barriers on practically all of their interstates, and from everything I have read, cable barriers help prevent highway deaths involving median crossover accidents. I said cable barriers could save a life someday, maybe even mine. Arkansas was not much interested in cable barriers back in 2007. Randy Ort of the Highway Department said that Arkansas had a cable barrier in one place, near Shackleford Road in Little Rock on I-430. The Guru and I exchanged several emails over the next several years about cable barriers. He had several contacts with the Arkansas Highway Department of Transportation over the same time. In his column, he called me the cable barrier guy. On November 12, 2010, the Guru wrote in his column that the power of the pen was strong and that the Highway Department was going to open for bid installation of cable barriers on 540 from Fayetteville to Bentonville. During 2012, the installation of cable barriers on 540 from Fayetteville to Bentonville, a distance of 24 miles at a cost of $6.5 million, was completed. If memory serves me correctly, I believe that there have been 0 deaths on 540 in median crossover accidents since the installation of the cable barriers. One more page. In the Bella Vista Weekly newspaper of August 1st, 2007, Nelson Berger of Bella Vista was reported missing. He was last seen July 15th, 2007, near the First Baptist Church in Hiwassee. He was last seen riding his white Honda Goldwing motorcycle, a three-wheeled trike. A subsequent article in the Vista confirmed a body of a man found September 14th, 2007, and that was Berger. His body was found in a deep ravine off Glasgow near Highlands Boulevard. Let's fast forward 7 years. On August 21st, 2014, an article appeared in the Democrat Gazette that Jimmy Lothus, 36 of Pea Ridge, was found dead in his pickup in a ravine beside East Lancashire Boulevard near Trafalgar Road. His body was discovered by a Highway Department truck. Lothus' vehicle was only found because of the high visibility of the Highway Department dump truck. A coroner's office determined that he died Sunday. From the numerous articles and publications I have read in the last year, Bella Vista is one of the safest cities in America. To make Bella Vista even safer, Bella Vista needs to become proactive regarding its roads and start a guardrail program to ensure that we do everything possible to prevent deaths from occurring similar to the ones I've mentioned above. Guardrails may have prevented the deaths of Mr. Berger or Mr. Lothus. Guardrails may have allowed the discovery of the accident scene more quickly. Families of the victims may have had closure much more quickly. In the case of Mr. Berger, 2 months to find a body is ridiculous. Even 2 days to find Mr. Lothus' body is unacceptable. If we start now to add guardrails to the roads that have the most dangerous areas of drop-offs into ravines, then Bella Vista will be on the road to being one of the safest cities in America. I am not asking for all guardrails to be put in immediately, but if we do 1 or 2 a year, then maybe in 50 years, we might have really made some progress. I would expect guardrails to be expensive. Perhaps there are grants available to start the program. Perhaps there is state money. Arkansas 340 is a state highway. Maybe money is available from the state. Could state add guardrails to those areas of this highway? Where did Arkansas get the $6.5 million to do the cable barriers on 540? The time to start is now. Doing nothing is unacceptable. What is the cost of one life? Even if a guardrail prevents one death, it will be well worth it. I'd like to thank Barb Paulus for helping with this. She probably won't take any claim to it, but thank you, Barb. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Next individual on the list, John Lear.
Good evening. My name is John Lear. I reside at 36 Sturgeon Drive in Bella Vista, and I am building chairman for Bella Vista Lutheran. I only want to address the Arkansas Fire Prevention Ordinance Code that's on your agenda. I have spoken before you several times, including last month, where I suggested changes and later put them in writing to you at some of your requests. At last Monday's work session, Mayor Anderson informed the council that 3 members of the city staff and the mayor reviewed the ordinance and my suggested changes and decided to remove the sections from the ordinance that I had concern about in order to avoid confusion. I left your work session concerned because I had never actually read the 3 statute books that Mayor Anderson referred you as alderman to. Recognizing that we still do require a permit for our new addition, which we hope to receive in September, and another permit for our renovation next year, I sought clarification from the city staff. The initial response left me confused. I then contacted Chief Sims, who along with the new fire marshal met with me to review our actual plans and identify the code book where would actually apply to us. This ended up not being an easy task to find the appropriate section, and Chief Sims sought the assistance of other members of the city staff who happened to not be available until later that day. The next day, Chief Sims had called me and we met again. He gave me 2 pages from the 3-volume code book that he thought applied to our situation, and he highlighted the appropriate paragraphs in yellow for me. After thoroughly reviewing the 2 pages that I received from Chief Sims, I've come to the following conclusion. The pages that I review clearly give the appropriate building official the option of requiring an existing building which does not meet code to fire suppress or not fire suppress, as long as 50% of the building is not being renovated and as long as a firewall is placed between the existing non-conforming structure and the new structure, both of which are the conditions that our church finds itself in. I have personally found Fire Chief Sims both professional and reasonable to deal with and have no concern about our future expansion with him in his present position. As I understand it, the state fire code is already in effect in the city anyway. The proposed ordinance as now being recommended with the changes that were recommended by the mayor at the last work session really is what we find ourselves in today regarding whether we have to fire suppress or not. That decision is strictly left up to an agreement that can be reached between the governing city official, which would be the fire marshal and fire chief in the case of fire suppression, and impacted business or church. Therefore, we support the ordinance as Mayor Anderson proposed at the work session. Thank each of you for your assistance and concern for Bella Vista Lutheran and all Bella Vista churches in this important issue.
Just in case anyone wasn't aware they had to sign to talk to us, is there anybody in the audience that still would like to talk to the city council this evening about any subject having to do with the city? Seeing none, we'll move on.
I'd
Yes.
like to sign that piece of paper I gave you. I didn't sign it. I take full responsibility for it.
Moving on, next item of business is the approval of minutes from our last city council meeting, July 28th. You all had those minutes in your packet? Comments, questions, discussion concerning those minutes?
Just add my name to the roll call,
Did I miss that?
yeah, on the minutes.
Any other comments, questions?
Motion to approve is,
Approve as amended, right?
yes.
Okay. Do I have a second to that?
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we approve the minutes as amended. One last chance for comments. Everyone in favor of approving the minutes, raise your right hand. Moving on to reports. The only comments I'll have concerning things that I want to talk about deal with the two building projects that are slowly moving forward. The first one, the street department, we did get an approval from ADEQ to begin dirt work out there. So the street department is doing some in-house dirt work to try to get that property to a point where we can actually see what the property looks like. In other words, taking down some of the trees, moving some of the brush out of the way to see where the actual drop-offs are. At the same time, the engineering firm, planning firm that we are dealing with is moving ahead to try to lay out a plan for use of the back part of that property for a street department, trying to salvage as much of the property off of 279 as we possibly can for either future use by the city or sale by the city to some type of economic engine that would move in there and be able to place restaurants, whatever, on that particular property. So we're trying to save as much of the front as we can. On the property that we're looking at for the fire department, we have signed an agreement with an engineer or an architectural firm to give us an original preliminary plan, if you will, of how the building should set on there, how much space that building will take up, with a very beginning number for what such a building may cost. At that point in time, when we get that data from that engineering or that architectural firm, we'll bring it to the city council before we move ahead to do anything over the $15,000-$16,000 range that we're obviously going to have to spend at some point in time for a fire department. So those are where we're headed with the two building projects. Any questions about those? Comments? We talked about them briefly last Monday night. We're still in the same ballpark with those. Next item on reports is the monthly financial report. You all had it provided to you by Allison, our treasurer. Comments, questions, discussion concerning that financial report for the July month of business?
Motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the financial report as presented. All in favor, raise your right hand. Next item under reports is Emergency Management Committee. Richard, any comments, questions?
Yes, we met on August 13th at 9 o'clock at the Fire Department Training Room. Much discussion was had on the West Side Fire Station, a new fire station, and we would like to, the committee would like to see us move ahead with that and get that rolling. The other part of the, most of the meeting was taken up with the planning for Public Safety Day, which is going to be held on September 20th at the, in conjunction with the Hay Day celebration. And we're going to meet again September 3rd and Wednesday at 9 o'clock at the Fire Department Training Room to complete the plans for this Hay Day celebration.
Any comments, questions for Richard?
I will add that will be mentioned later in the meeting. We have someone that has volunteered, recent employee of the POA, a safety officer, among other things, titles that he has, wished to join the committee, and we certainly welcome him. And just another way we can work with the POA and come together and work as one unit. That's it.
Any questions? Moving on, I will entertain a motion to suspend the rules this evening and read all ordinances and resolutions on the agenda by title only.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules this evening, read proposed ordinances and resolutions on the agenda by title only. Any discussion on that motion? Roll call vote.
Alderman Morgan?
Yes.
Alderman Snow?
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak?
Yes.
Alderman Rooney?
Yes.
Alderman King?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 6-0.
Moving on to unfinished business, item number A is an ordinance, and I'll read by title. Adopting by reference the Arkansas Fire Prevention Code 2012 edition and supplemental provisions thereto and for other purposes. And this is the second reading of this ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Jim,
I would like to make a motion to amend parts of that. The first one being, I move to amend the proposed ordinance by striking subsections 1 through 3 of section 5A and renumbering subsection 4 is subsection 1. That refers to what Mr. Lear had a little while ago. And in section A3A, strike the words "and insurance," which is part of the title. And in the subsection, strike the last sentence of the subsection, which reads, further, a contractor must furnish the department with evidence of general liability insurance coverage prior to the issuance of a permit. That particular part's covered in another place in the ordinance.
do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We make amendments or adjustments to the ordinance that we read by title only. Any discussion on the motion? Further discussion? Everybody understands the motion? Everybody understands what adjustments we're making to that?
I have a question because I will
Becky.
also be moving to change other wording in the ordinance. Do I do a separate motion on that?
I would think that'd be best.
All right.
So let's just take the one motion at a time. So we have the one motion on the floor right now to amend those sections that Jim read in his motion. Any further discussion? Any questions? Roll call vote on the motion to amend the proposed ordinance.
Alderman Snow?
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak?
Yes?
Alderman Rooney?
Yes.
Alderman King?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Morgan?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 6-0.
Becky, you indicate you have some comments about this.
I do. I move to amend Section 8, subsection 7 of the proposed ordinance by striking 6 inches and inserting in its place 4 inches, and that is dealing with the numbers displayed on houses.
The size of the numbers on houses.
Yes.
Do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We make the adjustment to the proposed Arkansas Fire Prevention Code and the supplemental provisions by amending the size of the required numbering for houses from 6 inches to 4 inches. Everybody understands that motion? Comments, questions, discussion?
I would like to state that 4 inches is what is required in the state fire code. And that would bring our current code up to date, which currently says 3.5 to 4 inches.
Any other comments, questions? Discussion? Roll call vote on the amendment to change the size of the lettering from 6 inches to 4 inches.
Alderman,
Yes.
Alderman Rooney?
Yes.
Alderman King?
Yes.
Alderman Wilson?
Yes.
Alderman Morgan?
Yes.
Alderman Snow?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, 6-0.
Back to the basic proposed ordinance. Any other comments, questions, discussion concerning that ordinance? Recognizing this is the second reading. Seeing and hearing none, Alan?
Do we need a third reading?
I would say yes,
Yes.
we've just
Yeah.
changed
All
it.
ordinances have to be read three
Okay.
times unless you want to suspend the rules and go to third reading now.
That's kind of what I
You
was
have to read it
asking.
three
We-
times.
We've been running with this for a while, so if we got it in a position where we want to leave it,
I would suggest we go to 3 readings anytime we
I
change
agree.
something, just to let folks know that it's out there and give them a chance to talk to you if they don't like something we did this evening.
that's fine. It was just a question.
I think it's much cleaner to have a complete month of something before you vote on it, and that's what you're gonna then vote on. Any other comments, questions, discussion? Anything else in that ordinance that we need to talk about? Seeing none, we'll move it forward to 3rd reading at the next meeting in September with the changes as passed this evening included. Item number B under old business is an ordinance I'll read by title. Establishing a policy for a drug-free workplace. And this is the 2nd reading for this ordinance. Comments, questions, discussion concerning that ordinance, proposed ordinance. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move that forward to 3rd reading for the September council meeting. Item number C under old business is an ordinance I'll read by title. Adopting by reference zoning code amendments for procedures relating to planning commission initiated amendments to the zoning code and for other purposes. 2nd reading. Comments, discussion concerning that proposed ordinance. Hearing, seeing none, we'll move that ordinance forward to 3rd reading at the September council meeting. Item 10 under new business, an ordinance. A, I will read by title. Providing penalties for damage and for failure to return books and other materials belonging to the Bella Vista Public Library. Providing for the adoption of administrative policies and fees for the library and for other purposes. 1st reading. We discussed that one Monday night. I think Jason gave you a good rundown of what that ordinance is set up to do. Any comments, questions concerning that ordinance? Basically what it does is provide the backdrop so that the various policies and processes can be put together by the librarian and the administrative staff to operate the library, recognizing the library has only been with us a short period of time in the city. Comments, questions, discussion? We'll move that ordinance forward to 2nd reading at the September council meeting. Item number B under new business, a resolution I'll read by title. Authorizing the mayor and city clerk to renew the contract with Cooper Communities Incorporated for the rental of space for the City of Bella Vista Street Department for the period of September 1st, 2014 through December 31st, 2014. The purpose of that resolution is something similar that we did back in April to go through the second 4-month period of the year. When we started the year, if you recall, we thought we would be able to move forward a little faster with forming our own street department with the new buildings in some particular location. It's taken us a little longer than most of us thought it would take us. We're still not going to be ready until hopefully near the end of December to move our street department. So this is in order to have a location for the street department to operate out of for the last 4 months of this year. It'll be the same location they've been operating out of since we formed the street department in May of 2012. Comments, questions, discussion concerning that resolution?
You feel confident you're going to be able to in that time period?
I sure hope so, Jerry. We don't have to have everything in order to move. We have to have the parts that would take care of the people. We have to have an office that people can operate out of. If we have to, we'll use the trailer and move it out there. So that's doable. But we do have to have a day room, whatever you want to call it, that folks can get in out of the weather. And we also have to have a mechanics bay. So those are the two things that we have to have. I would hope we can get those done in 4 months.
Do we have to have everything cleared off of our current location that we're leasing? by the end of that lease?
I would assume so.
Okay.
That's usually starting it with a key and driving it out for the most part. We don't have too much that we have to move.
Materials are stored where right now?
That's part of the problem down there. We have almost no material storage down there, so
Right.
we buy it as we use it.
Okay. I know there was some being stored in the golf course parking lot there for a while. That's gone.
That's sand and salt, and if you recall last winter, we don't have sand and salt.
It'd be
So
gone.
we will be buying sand and salt, and we will be putting it on the new location. We're in the process now of trying to order that sand and salt, and we will have a place to put it out there on the new location. And that is the biggest thing that we will have for material storage initially.
Okay. That's all that.
Oh, never mind, it is.
Any other comments, questions concerning that resolution? Entertain a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. We approve the resolution authorizing continuation of the lease with rental space from Cooper for the street department. Any other comments, questions? Roll call vote on that resolution.
Alderman Rooney,
Yes.
Alderman King,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Snow,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 6-0.
Next item under new business is a resolution. I'll read by title. Amending resolution number R 213-12, setting permit fees allowed under adopted technical codes and for other purposes. Can you refresh their memory on that one just a little bit, Chris?
Yes, sir, the R.
Standing up at the mic. Got everything? Cool. All right. The previous resolution set a variety of ways that we charge for system permit fees. Basically, it's a base fee with multipliers based on either the number of fixtures in a home or the number of outlets or the number of air conditioning units. And that is the way our commercial permits are charged for now currently. Under the proposed resolution, after doing some analysis of the last year's worth of those systems permits, we have $30 that we generally get for a plumbing permit, a residential HVAC permit. So what this allows us to do is to only charge that flat fee to the minimum, and rather than going through the exercise of having contractors document how many fixtures, how many plumbing packages, how many switches in their application process, we just discard that information or don't even ask for it and just say, you're going to go build a plumbing system in this house, here's your permit. We'll catch things in the inspection process. We've heard from our contracting customers that this seems to be a lot more efficient for them. It means quicker starts on houses, and so we generally see this as a positive change in our permitting process.
One of the things that we had several contractors talk to us about, both me and Chris and our folks over in the building department, is that when they come in at the beginning of their process and they give us, they're going to put in 32 plugs in this house. If there's 32 plugs in the house when they actually get it done, it's probably by guessing by golly, because something's going to change. So there's either going to be 36 or there's going to be 29. It'll never be 32. And it's the same in the plumbing world. It doesn't come out when they get started building the house and laying it out and actually are out there doing it. It doesn't come out that exact. So rather than force them to go through this counting process and this exercise in futility, where it really doesn't work out to be that way anyway, doesn't do us any good. We're not getting any more money for the process. We think just the set fee works better, and we've heard very positive comments already in talking it and thinking and telling them that's probably what we're going to do when we get this passed. the builders are going to be much happier.
Mayor, we had one issue at the work session, if you recall, on this resolution.
Yeah.
And it's going to require a slight amendment to this proposal. If you'll see in section 1, there's a line at the bottom of the table that says penalty for starting work without a systems permit, and it goes over to say $100. That penalty is dealt with in other ordinances that we have, and it's also dealt with in the proposed fire protection ordinance, which you'll be considering next month. And so I believe the staff was going to recommend, and I concur, that there be a motion to strike that line out of this resolution and let our other law tend to that. If someone will be kind enough to do that, it'll keep us from creating a conflict where we don't need to have one.
I move that we strike the penalty for starting work without a systems permit being $100 to let our existing ordinance stand.
I'll second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded, we make the adjustment to that resolution as stated by Becky, which is to delete the $100 penalty fee. Any other comments, questions, discussion concerning that motion? Just the motion to make the change. Roll call vote on the motion to make the change and delete the $100 penalty fee.
Alderman King,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Snow,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Rooney.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 6-0.
Any other comments, questions about the resolution itself as amended?
Move the resolution be approved. Second that.
Been moved and seconded, the resolution as amended be approved. One last chance for comments. Roll call vote on the resolution as amended.
Alderman Wilson,
Yes.
Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Snow,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak.
Yes.
Alderman Rooney.
Yes.
Alderman King.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 6-0.
Last item under new business on the agenda is an appointment to the Emergency Management Committee. As Mr. Rooney referred to during his discussion of the Emergency Management Committee, an individual by the name of Don Schmutz has requested to be on the committee. We believe it would be a good addition to the committee in that he is one of his titles being the safety officer for the Property Owners Association. Any comments, questions, discussion concerning that appointment? Hearing and seeing none, roll call vote on the appointment. I probably should have a motion, shouldn't I?
I move it be approved.
Thank you. Been moved and seconded, we approve Don Schmutz to the Emergency Management Committee. Roll call vote on that motion.
Alderman Morgan,
Yes.
Alderman Snow,
Yes.
Alderman Wozniak,
Yes.
Alderman Rooney,
Yes.
Alderman King,
Yes.
Alderman Wilson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous, 6-0.
Meetings and announcements. The Planning Commission work session is scheduled for Wednesday, August 27th, 4 p.m. in the Fire Department Training Room. The regular meeting of the Planning Commission is scheduled for Monday, September 8th, 6:30 p.m. in the Fire Department Training Room. City Council work session for September is Monday, September 15th at 5:30 p.m. in the City Hall Conference Room. And the next regular meeting of the City Council is Monday, September 22nd, 6:30 p.m. right here in Highlands Crossings. Meeting is adjourned.